Ooh, that plunge knocked it right into a whole nother universe. Just give me a moment here. Hari Om. This is a form of tuning the universe, right? When you tune the tambura, everything in the universe comes into tune. Didn't you know that? Feeling that? So for any of you who are interested in owning a tambura, playing the tambura is not usually the issue, it's tuning it that challenges people. There we go. Waveform. Right, that's the Pythagoras quote. I think I wrote it down. What did Pythagoras said about strings? There is the geometry in the humming strings. And there's music in the spacing of the spheres. So if we're going to go with Pythagoras and Platonic solids, the water element, which just unleashed itself, is an icosahedral shape. And all the elements, the first four elements, there's the cube, tetrahedron, octagon, octahedron, icosahedron. And then there's the fifth one, which was kept highly secret by the Pythagorean mystery schools, because the dodecahedron, the dodecahedron is kind of like the Sahasrara Chakra. Only the initiates are supposed to have any comprehension of it, because otherwise, oh, here comes that thing. Can you just slide that, Deanna, so that it,
How does it go?
just touch it and it should disappear from the screen. Just pump it up. Oh, now it's disappeared. There we go. You know, even though I put the thing that's supposed to block that stuff, you know, what can you do? So, just to get back to this cosmic thought that there's this dodecahedral shape which has pentagons in it, right? And evidently the Pythagorean theories thought that this is a very dangerous shape. If it gets into the wrong hands, you know, some bad stuff can go down, and that kind of makes us think about such forms as the pentagon. So anyway, so this dodecahedron is at the top. All these sacred geometries sort of anchored in the spine, anchored in our rotating toroidal field, rotating in the essentially the etheric body, which has the template, has a shape. So we're just using this harmony of the strings to create harmony, beautiful feeling. They found that actually dissonant sounds, horribly out of tune stuff, or really bad playing, or whatever it is, crashing noises, garbage trucks slamming into things, literally causes your body to put more fats into the blood. It contracts the blood vessels, blood pressure goes up. Not good. So beautiful music, beautiful sounds, ultimately, as we can just feel, have this effect. Right? It literally organizes the cells. I mean, we could just do Om and different mantras, but I wanted you to experience what it's like when parts of the brain are actually vibrating in a certain way, because it does create a chemistry. And if you're doing a good enough job listening to yourself, you can hear many tones happening. The body, the brain, the sinuses, the bones. It's a big vibrational palace. And the bones themselves are piezoelectric, which means they organize the current in a certain direction. Now, back in little history on this, back in 1922, evidently Einstein got a little fed up with the fact that people had been claiming for quite some time since the Michelson-Morley experiment that there was no ether in the universe, because Michelson and Morley measured the speed of light through the vacuum, declaring that there's no interference. And Einstein, I guess, went along with that for a while, but then he was like, no, that dude was too smart, right? So he's like, no, there's a medium here, right? Stuff is connecting through the medium. It's not empty space, right? And so he was trying to figure out what that was, and he came to the conclusion that it was like an etheric energetic, right? Which in Indian yoga science we call your pranamaya kosha, your etheric body, prana body, and that this connects throughout the universe. And so what's arisen lately in the context of that way of thinking is something called the electric universe theory, which is very interesting because it's a nice complement to quantum theory. Quantum theory really would be apprising us more about limitations, or the scale of the very small, right? All sorts of strange things go on at that level. But the electric universe theory posits that bioplasma and plasma connect everything in the universe, and that stars and galaxies all link together through this sort of invisible goo, right? That it's a lattice of interconnectedness, much in the way of an electric array. So basically that's saying we are just pulsing with galactic electricity, right? That light serves to function in this way, but light is traveling through this medium of the sort of the bioelectric, right? There's, call it living plasma, call that consciousness. And that consciousness can diffuse into plasma particles. And then from that, we get the condensation of everything we know. There's solids, gases, liquids, right? But the more subtle energy level is bioplasma. That would be us, right? We're the living substance of the universe observing itself. So let's vibrate with that bioplasmic field. It links to the planet links to the sun and the moon. Our solar system is linked into the galaxy. It's like all through this invisible plasma electrical. The technical name for them is torsion fields. These giant torsion fields. And we are a kind of torsion field, right? A rotating torus of this bioplasmic material. Because if we were to drop dead, that rotating toroidal electromagnetic field is still holding itself up, while the body rag bag just sort of collapses down to a pool of 0 pH, basically. So with that information, it's easier to notice that you're noticing. It's easier to notice that we are this electromagnetic field inhabiting this, we're creating this physicality. Be like a dolphin and send out theta waves from your brain. Healing waves that come out. Sending them out. The angel chakra. Just above the third eye, evidently, is the angel chakra. And that vibrates, it has its own sound besides the viz that gets us there. And that is the sound of nur, which means light in various languages. You go. You can add the E so you can make the R more complete. The sound medicine man, Jonathan Goldman, discovered this mantra in Palenque at a temple in Mexico, where the guide said, stand in that doorway there and make this sound. He said, Nur. And he turned off the flashlight. And he started, Jonathan sang this tone, and the whole cave, or the whole temple interior lit up with a kind of subtle luminescence, and evidently everybody who was there saw it. And then after that, the guide turned his flashlight back on. So the idea is that this vibrating here is going to create light. Right? It's going to create vibratory resonance that fills a room. Plus, it's just a very nice sound to say. Nur means queen, actually, in I guess Arabic. Nuri. But I believe the ancient Egyptian is really where the nur comes from. And then these kind of sounds get around the world. Like, let's just take the sound ah. Look at all the names of deities, or let's say the names for God that have ah. God, Yahweh, Jah, Brahma, Ram, Allah, right? It goes on. Baal, Ahura Mazda. Why? Probably because when we relax the jaw and we say that sound, we surrender, right? There's more release. It's like, ah. The person saying the sound is more likely to surrender to whatever's going on, which may just be one of the best definitions of healing, is that we are truly healed when we're totally able to accept whatever's going on. So let's just accept whatever's going on. And then we can change it. So let's say it's kind of the proverbial coming out of denial. accepting whatever it is that's going on in your life. Peace is definitely available. If we're like, okay, that's the way it is. I think at the end of our session on Monday, I was saying that on Thursday we'd fix the world. Right, we'll reset the world. How about that? Ready, Deanna? We'll reset the world? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Okay, so in the same way that the water spilled and the tambura took off and world's hopping today. Basic message would be, and I'm not going to use it as a don't do this, you should do this stuff, because I don't like it when someone shoulds me. But I like the what if. What if? Hey, how about not eating fish or animals anymore? And I'm sure most of you have already done that, especially the veganites. But it really comes home when you see a movie called Seaspiracy, which is on Netflix. And it just is showing us the just complete destruction and devastation of the oceans that's going on, with everything from plastics to fishing lines to just the criminality of the massive international trawler, rogue fishing industry. That's basically, well, you have to see the movie to see the complete destruction. But the simple solution, according to all these folks, is we just got to stop eating the fish. You can get the omega-3s from the algae, because that's where the fish get it from. Right? You don't need to eat the fish head or the fish. And the same is true with the beef, right? We get more protein from plants because that's where the cows get it from. So it's like obvious 101, right? So it seems from, if you just look at those two movies, one of them is called, Deanna, can you give me some water? I'm just like, I just spilled it. That the Game Changers is the name of the Netflix movie that really shows you why eating animals is just destroying our ecosystem. The water table, the toxicity of the whole process. So anyway, I'm sure you know this message already, but there's something about declaring it, because that's essentially what healing is, right? You declare the healing. I do most of my healing work over the phone, so it's mostly a declaration, right? You can talk disease out of people in various capacities. You can talk a lot of stuff right out of people, and we all do this, right, in different ways. If your friend Fred is driving it, 90 miles an hour down the road, and he calls you up and says, I want to die. You're like, Fred, it's okay, slow down, she'll come back to you, right? It'll work out, right? Chill it, dude. So we've all talked somebody down, I'm sure. So this Siri declaration, where you use words, the power of the word, right? The word is vibration itself. The word is your wand. We're either hung by the tongue, or we transform reality with our languaging. So let's drop into the throat chakra for a minute. That's where all the vowels vibrate. I sacred texts basically around the world. Not every one, but most of them. The universe is created by sound. It vibrates into being from the great Spanda. Hence why I like to share this sound with you. It literally is creation on some level, right? Out of nothing rises this vibration. Everything vibrates into being, into pattern. Think plank. Well, actually, let's go with the Rudolf Steiner quote. This is a really good one. It says, "There will be a time when a diseased condition of the soul, life, will not be described as it is today by the psychologists, but it will be spoken of in musical terms, as one would speak, for instance, of a piano that was out of tune." So there it is from the world's greatest educator, that if you're having issues, we're out of tune. As simple as that. We're just out of tune. And when we get back in tune, there are no issues. I mean, you might not like something, but you can handle it, right? You can change it. You can work with it. I'm looking for the Planck quote here. There it is. 1918. Max Planck. "We have now discovered that there is no such thing as matter." I've read this quote before. "It is all just different rates of vibration designed by an unseen intelligence." You know, I was reading that they took a Chopin piece and they linked the nucleotides with the notes, or the notes with the nucleotides of the DNA. And they found that it matched a cancer gene. Now, that's not to say that listening to Chopin is going to cause you cancer, but that I guess the translation would be that even cancer has a music to it that's kind of like a Chopin piece. There's perhaps the most famous remote viewer in the world is a Brazilian named Ingo Swann, who worked with the US military and I guess the CIA in developing remote viewing technologies where they can, if there's like a secret document in a folder somewhere out there somewhere, this guy can close his eyes and go into that folder, read the document and report it back. And he could do this with, I think they did this one test where it was a real estate document and there was a house that was being sold for maybe back in the 50s or whatever it was, 60s, for 60 grand, and he could tell you the numbers, right? He could literally hack into that document. And they're all figuring out, well, how does this guy do that? And they were concluding that he's vibrating with the waveforms of those words. In other words, those symbols, those numbers, they're all frequencies. That they're frequencies that have a pattern. And so from that point of view, he's busting into the pattern, recognizing the pattern, because learning is pattern recognition, and able to report waveform action. Well, they did another test evidently with him, but they didn't tell him that they had another remote viewer that was going to try to block him. And so Ingo was trying to break into the file and he couldn't. So then I guess they told him later, well, we had Giorgio or whoever it was, blocking you. And so it shows us that wave interference, there's an example of wave interference, right? Stopping something from happening, interfering with the waves. And so from the healing perspective, most of our issues are some kind of interference pattern on this vibratory frequency level, right? That frequency is not working with the situation, or your body's not digging the situation. It's not the right match. Let's clarify something that's very interesting, that there's a difference between frequency complementarity and resonance. Meaning, resonance would be like everyone's playing in the same band, or you're playing in a band and you're grooving right along with everyone. That's the relationship of the waves that you're creating are in harmony with those other waves. But then you could have, let's say, you spend a long time with the same person, and I'm not saying that husband and wives have this issue, because they solve that problem in many other ways. But the idea is that you don't want the frequency match. You want the frequency complementarity, meaning it's like it should look like the opposite. Because then you have, according to the folks that study this, then you get the chemistry. Otherwise, let's say you go to the dating service and you type in, I'm this way and that way and this, and I want someone who's that way and this way and that. And bingo, there they call you up, but there's no chemistry. But they're a total match, right? They like jazz. They like studying some strange subject. Whatever it is, it could all be the same. But evidently, that's not the best mate for you. Because that's just like you again, right? And that's fine. You'll get resonance there, right? They'll all be grooving in the band together. But the chemistry, it could be a band that sounds good, but it's not a band that generates a hit single or plays on for 20 years because no chemistry. And why? According to this way of thinking, it's the complement that balances it. So if you're a certain set of frequencies, you might be lacking a certain set of frequencies, because not everyone is all of the frequencies. So where you are lacking in frequency, someone else might be profoundly full in that department. So that's really what you want. You want the person that brings you everything that you're not on some level, so that when you're together, you're everything. That makes sense, right? So that's an interesting little spin on the difference between, let's say, coherency, resonance, and this idea of complementarity. So let's just drop into stillness for a minute. It's always good to let new information, maybe you've heard this before. If not, it needs to fit in. It needs to find its place in your mind, or your brain will reject it or challenge it, and that's fine. But let's say, to accommodate all these different frequencies, that's peace. Right? That's a certain kind of resonance. Just dropping into the breathing through the nose. Nice deep breath. Exhaling through the mouth. Do that again. Nice deep breath through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. And just float there for a minute. Relaxing brain, neck, and shoulders. Eyeballs and jaw. You can relax the jaw, like we said, with breathing through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Just imagine beautiful light just flowing out of your forehead, just rising up, sending beautiful blessings to your friends, your family, the world. What if? There are other sounds that you might be familiar with, which are the Bija mantras of the chakras. It's like the M, the Lam, Vam, Ram. Right, these are all kind of an at the end. It's like a nasal. first chakra. Lam. Feel the gravity of the earth. Some folks say it's not just the gravity that keeps us on the earth, it's literally the pressure of the atmosphere, the pressure of the etheric fields are pushing down. If you were sitting at the bottom of the ocean floor, you would feel the pressure of the ocean pushing down on you. So matter has its specific gravity, and then these fields have it's like their gravitational effect. Let's feel the root. Feel your base chakra. Breathing through the nose, nice deep breath. And then just make any kind of sound you want, like just releasing. Coming back to the Bijas. We move up to the second chakra. Vam. It's like a vam, but it's an NG. Vam. And your Manipura chakra, third chakra, solar plexus is Ram. Ram. Evidently, if you say this mantra correctly, you can create fire element. Right? It vibrates in the solar plexus. It's the Ram frequency. So if you're a super yogi, you can ignite things with your Shakti, with your fire Shakti. If you have lots of money, and you're someone who has good fire, probably, right? That fire principle is powerful for you, right? You're able to energize systems and situations with cash, abundance, energy, good liver energy, right? Feeds the heart, feeds the fire, the wood principle. So we move into the heart, from the Ram to the Yam. Makes sense, right? Heart's kind of yummy. Yum. You can feel the vibration in your chest. Yum. And you'll find when you make that NG sound, there's a certain aspect in the larynx, pharynx, palate, down here, voice box, that is going to create this, it's like a really cool signal throughway. It's like, it's like a vibrational corridor, and you know it when you sing it, right? You'll feel it. It just suddenly blazes and opens up. So let's try that. We're just going to use Yam. Shape your mouth and get this om sound, and it has different overtones and vibrations. It's the Mongolians and different overtone singers use the voice box and the chest and the sinuses, like I said last time, the bones, the teeth, they're all vibrating. I think, well, when am I going to do that? You know, I'm like, I'm too busy on Netflix, or I'm too busy on Facebook. But somewhere in between, you can hear several tones happening at the same time if you're doing it right. And it just does magical things. It just does. It's why monks chant. It's why, wizards chant incantations. It's why hymns sound the way they sound, right? We're employing all of these sounds to enliven the frequencies of the cells, the organs, the glands, the spirit, the soul. We are vibratory beings. And just sort of to finish off the Bijas, we go to hum, and then sham, and then om. Hum, that's the throat, sham's the third eye, and then the om to the top vibrations, to the B's, the ends. Hum. So hum can sound like hamsa, but it could also be like, that dude got hung. Right? And there's an instrument from Switzerland, they call it the hum. So this sound, very, very good sound. I want to get that sound going. Hum. And you squeeze the back of your throat a little bit. You'll find it, pinch it here and there, kind of shape it, work with it, sculpt it. And do not underestimate these frequencies. Right? These yogis that discovered this stuff and work with it, they're not kidding around. I mean, they literally have supernatural powers from working with these frequencies. And they get to the place where they're so humble with it that they're not really even interested in them as supernatural powers, right? They're just interested in vibrating with the Supreme and just sending out that love. So it's another way to, you could say, vibrate with God, right? To align with these frequencies. As Plato said, God is 8 overtones up. In the key of A, according to Plato. Maybe that's because his name was Plato. So we're going to vibrate right up to this God frequency, right? Don't underestimate the beings that are parked in and around your body. Mother, father, sort of vibe. Father's energies live around here. Mother sort of, it affects the shoulders, right? The weight of the lineage, but the actual frequency, and they found this with tuning forks, right? They find that it's like the dowsing rod, like they find the jewel in the sand, right? With the vibration is suddenly interfered with because there's a fluctuation. There's an energy center vibrating. So just noticing that in your field, all sorts of wonderful vibratory coves, little nesting pods for angels. And if there's demons there, when we do this sort of thing, they gotta go. They don't like these sounds. They're too beautiful for the demons, right? So, we're just going to get hung up here. Here we go. Hum. And then go up to sham. Sham. Just say the sham. Just pops it up a little more up here. All kinds of mantras will vibrate in your forehead. Right now, we'll just go with sham. Remember that M in the sham is like an NG. Shang. And you can see why it opens up. Shang. And then it goes up and up. And those end sounds are vibrating at the really top, like the bee bumblebees. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya Gurave, Satchidananda Murtaye, Nisprapanchaya Shantaya, Niralambaya Tejase. So we're just breathing, coming to the end of our sound journey today. Hey, I love you guys so much for hanging in there and hanging with me and doing this yoga stuff. It takes great patience and fortitude and forbearance and all these great qualities that I know you have, because here you are. Om Namah Shivaya. Oxygenating, beautiful breath coming in. I'll read your quotes soon. I'm sitting here ensconced on the couch. Just feeling call it the effects of all these sounds. Just notice in your body. Costco's secret weapon. That's what just showed up. For $1.50, you can get a Costco secret weapon. Well, that must mean we have to chant the secret Costco. That's right, you'll get a free subscription. Just show up in your email. Just chant Costco. Magic powers. I'm almost afraid to put this down. It's going to go slipping and sliding, because I just wanted to do one more thing on the guitar. So just hang with me for a little bit longer here. I know we're into the overtime, but I'm not going to do the full deal with this today, but I was, I like to sing that song, Lovely Day, and I'm not going to do that right now, but the two chords, the first two chords, that D chord that goes into that, it's ultimately a B minor 7th chord. It was really good for toning too. So here's what was coming out, and I'll work with this some more. Next time we can chant this more. see you on Monday, I'm sure. Hang in there and keep chanting those mantras now. Hum it. You can do it.